Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video we're going through the St Kilda versus Port Adelaide game, in which I got the tip right, but it wasn't that good of a game, to be honest with you. 16 goals kicked in it, 26 behinds isn't probably the best showing. 60 to 62 point as Port Adelaide just got over the line. It just wasn't a good game to watch. But anyway, before we jump into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this video. So, Sinclair, 135. He was just so damaging in the second quarter with a 55, and I mean, that was mostly due to a lot of marks. He ended up with 10 marks, 5 tackles, 31 touches in the end, just filling up the stat sheet, and that was generally what he was just doing. He did provide a lot of run. I don't know what his or drive through the middle. I don't know what his exact let me actually bring up his exact stats here. His meters gained, he had in the end 556. It was Wanganeen Malira who actually had the more meters gained on 26 touches. He had 700 meters gained, whereas Sinclair on 31 had 556 or so 556, which is still a really good amount. It's still 3 or 4 meters per disposal more than the average. But he did have a handy kick to handball ratio, and I mean, Wanganeen Malira to a certain extent had an even better one. So that's the reason why he had a lot. But yeah, Sinclair, a lot of drive from him, and that's what they sort of need out of the back half. Marshall, a little bit different of a role, only 10 hit-outs. He sort of had the likes of, Tom Campbell here, who had 8 hit-outs and basically a half. You can see here, onto ground, onto the bench, he got subbed out basically here. This is a really good feature to show the sub-outs now. He got subbed out probably roughly around here, and yeah, that was it for Tom Campbell, and that's when Marshall had to basically, I guess to a certain extent, solo ruck. And he kicked 3 goals too, had 18 touches, 9 marks, 10 hit-outs, and yeah, he just dominated in the air in the forward 50. Could have probably had more, but a 119 in that environment is probably the best case scenario, and I think he almost single-handedly won them the game, to be honest. Mason Wood, he is sort of playing a really, this weird role that sort of, it doesn't enable the likes of, where is he? Where's Wilson? Wilson as well, like, it really cuts off Wilson when Wood plays, because they play almost the same position. It's oddly, it's really weird, even though Mason Wood is a lot taller than Darcy Wilson, I would think, just from what I've, or is at least, where is he? Mason Wood, 102, he is 192 centimeters, whereas Darcy Wilson is 185, so 7 centimeters. So not exactly the tallest player. I thought Darcy Wilson was a little bit shorter, but it just feels like they play the same position, and Mason Wood, just because he's a little bit taller, has a little bit of a better overhead mark, is able to clunk a lot more of these marks and get their score, whereas Darcy Wilson sort of goes missing in the forward pocket. And Wood was able to kick a goal, have 13 marks, 19 touches. Steal 97. How do we feel about this one? Massive in the fourth quarter, but hugely disappointing in the first and third, with only 33 combined in those two. Second quarter was pretty good. Just the problem with him, and I think this is shown a little bit, is the tackles at the moment. He's really down on the tackles or the marks, and he never really has them both together at the same time, because he's not this guy that's going to get 35 touches a game, I don't think, anymore. I think that's more reserved to like Sinclair, Wanganeen Malira, etc. But Steele's never going to get that. So the problem for him is he's having only 11 marks and tackles combined, whereas he really used to in his sort of back when he was scoring huge numbers. I think it was up towards like 14 or 15. So yes, the marks are there. He's moving around well, but the tackles aren't there at the moment. And if he was at 6 or so tackles, that would look a lot different. That would be a 113. You'd be going, okay, that's a pretty decent number, but it's just a 97. So you really struggle to figure out how he's going to... Well, I mean, don't really struggle to figure out how he's going to score more. It's just by tackling more, getting back to his best tackling, because his best tackling is 7-8 tackles a game, and we're just not seeing it at the moment. He will have games where he has 13 tackles, but in those 13 tackle games, he'll have like 2 marks, 3 marks, and it's like, well, it's almost like the exact same problem, just exclusively on the other foot. Then you've got Wanganeen Malira, 94. I thought he was all right, but he did butcher the ball quite a lot, I would think, from pretty much anything that he moved forward. move the ball forward. He did kind of turn it over quite a lot. Let me just see, what was his disposal efficiency, 73%, 5 turnovers. Wouldn't be surprised if there was 5 or so clangers in there as well. Let me just put the clangers on there so that I can see it. Clangers, advanced clangers, he had 5 clangers, 5 turnovers, still had 6 clangers as well, so he didn't use it particularly well either, with 4 turnovers, 6 clangers for him. But yeah, Wanganeen Malira, he's just not, I wonder if he's one, much like we saw with Shees or much like we've seen with Dacos in recent times, is just move him up the ground more, maybe play him as a more half forward that can sort of swing around and just get him more up the ground, because he's a lot more dangerous really sort of 80, 70 metres out from goal than figuring it out from the back in his own 50. So I would just wonder if they consider that move soon. Bonner, 43 in the first and then went missing. Webster, Wilkie, Hill again gets going and then has an absolute stinker of a quarter here in the third, where he's had 2 did he have 2 bench sits in the... So he had 1 bench sit in the third quarter here. You can see fourth quarter. Okay, it's hard to figure out where the sort of third and starts there. So he was off the ground there what is going on here? I don't know exactly, but yeah, third quarter he did nothing. Basically, Butler, Henry, Battle, Shoalmaker is one that I'm really looking forward to seeing how he progresses, as I think with him being in the side, they can move Wanganeen Malira more up the ground. I think he's shown that he can really move the ball quickly, and he really, with that extra sort of 5-10 metres on his kick, it really provides a lot more coverage down back in ability to swing the ball quickly. So I think he's one that could progress Wanganeen Malira up the field. Windhager, Higgins, and then all these guys don't really matter too much. Darcy Wilson at 22, really showing that a winger's role can be sort of up and down. We saw it with Goulden as well, even though he ended up on an 80 Goulden, because he's one of the best ball finders he's the best ball finder on the wing in the whole comp, but in general he's one of the better ball finders. But he really struggled for 3 quarters and then just came out in the last and just blasted away. But Horne-Francis, 112, I thought he was best on ground in this game. He really provided something in the forward half for Port, especially with Rosie really didn't provide anything forward of centre, and also Butters was really just bombing it in the into the 50. So I thought that Horne-Francis was a guy that was able to at least provide a contest in the air. I don't know how many marks contested marks he took. Did he take any? He took 1 contested mark. He had 4 clearances and had 7 inside 50s, 472 metres gained for Horne-Francis. So just an all-round pretty good game from him, with 28 touches in the end, 6 marks and a 1 goal 1. So yeah, he was just really impactful. Farrell sort of took everything away from Houston. As simple as that, simply put. Aliir, Willem Drew, I thought he did really well as well. He's sort of that all-rounder, very similar to the likes of Rowbottom, can sort of provide a 10-tackle effort if needed, can provide 25-30 touches if needed, but will generally just end up with a 20 to 25 touches, 5 marks, 5 tackle type of game. Rosie, I thought his game was very, very stop-start in a way. It was very, very reliant on being able to grab a lot of those sort of mark 60 out from goal when no one was sort of leaving. Everyone from St Kilda was sort of leaving him there, because they were like, we can just mark the next kick or mark up the next kick, and you're not going to be able to, or zone up the whole zone basically, and you're not going to be able to do anything with it. So it was a weird one where he was just getting a lot of free possession. I think he ended up with about 4 contested possessions out of 25. So he really didn't win much of the hard ball in there. It was a lot of just out of contest sort of chip marks to him, and he'd move it from there. So I don't think it was really as damaging, and I don't know if there wasn't too much of a tag there, because Windhager was on Butters. So it was just a really interesting game from Rosie, and I don't necessarily think that he's going to be the greatest option from here, given that I said in the last video, we need someone that averages about 112, 113 from here. 900 points from 8 games is going to be your best bet in the midfield, and I just don't see Rosie doing it, to be honest with you. Like, he had 38 here, went missing pretty much for the whole quarter, and then about the 9-minute mark, and then bang, 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 bang. And then from here, I think he had 32 points in about 12 minutes or so. You can see here 32 points in 17 minutes. Oh, so I think 33 in 7 minutes, I believe, is that. And then he had had the last little bit on the bench there onto the ground, 6 minutes into the quarter. 6:54, and then 8:25 gets a handball, and then does really well, and then goes silent again on 57 for the last 10 minutes of the quarter, including 5 minutes on the bench. And then in the third quarter, he goes missing yet again, has another stint on the bench, and he played the whole last quarter as well for 27. So he's also played, where is it here? Connor Rozee played 94 minutes in the end, which is roughly around the same, I think, that he'd be on, but it just wasn't as sort of impactful as a lot of other guys are. Literally didn't have a full... The game was only 112 minutes, so yeah, he actually played, I believe, he played more time than Butters, which, let me just bring up the percentage clock of what his actual time on ground was. So it was, say, 95 divided by a 112.5, I would say. It's roughly... So he was around about that 84% time on ground, which is roughly, I think, about what he does usually, but it was in weird spurts. So yeah, I'm just not too confident on Rozee, given who do they have next? Who does Port have next will be the major question, and they have the likes of... They have Bulldogs next, so he's maybe he gets Libba or someone else like that. I don't know exactly who's going to go in there and go in and play on him, but I'm just not too confident on him at the moment. Butters 92, he did do that through a tag, which is a pretty decent effort. 31 in the last quarter. Yeah, the tag just maybe got to him a little bit and stopped him in his tracks just a fraction, but wasn't too bad. 92 in a tag game isn't the worst. You can't hope for 100 each week. No player is able to do that. Zerk Thatcher, Sin, Bergman, Narkle, Wines, Georgiades, literally no one here matters. Logan Evans, Cashin, good. But yeah, missing... sorry, that was Finlayson that I clicked on. Yeah, missing in the first half. I remember actually looking at that and being like, oh, he's done nothing. But then in third and fourth quarter, 44 for the second half, really just got him up to a 59, which is still decent. Going up in cash, getting the break even into the negatives, which is really good, or keeping it in the negatives, I should say, is really, really good. And yeah, he'll be one that we cash out probably around 20 or so, and that'll be how we get our sort of final upgrades in, given that we're pretty much at the point where we've got a pretty confident team, but we'll just be getting a matchup related upgrades in the last couple weeks, and Evans will probably be used as it will get up to 400k or so is my suspicion, but hoping he can have a big sort of 100 game because that'll really push him up. Finlayson, Houston had a shocker. Just couldn't get around it, and that was really annoying. Farrell kind of stole his thunder. So yeah, kind of annoying for Houston. I have him in Supercoach. He ended up, I think, with something like a 75 in Supercoach. I'm not 100% sure. Let me just double check that for you guys. But yeah, he didn't do particularly well on Supercoach. He ended up with a 59 in Supercoach, so it wasn't even that good as what I thought he did. Yeah, he just really did nothing. I think the last quarter being tight as well and him having no influence on it didn't help at all. So that was kind of where Houston fell apart, but he'll be back next week. Boak, Jones, Marshall, Lord, Burn-Jones, and Lorenz came on. Lorenz will be an interesting prospect if he gets full game time, especially if they abolish the sub rule, because the sub rule is what's keeping a lot of these guys lower in terms of being subbed out, and in terms of rookies having a couple sub games. It sort of knocks 5, 6, 7 points off their average very, very quickly. Like McMullen especially, I think his is probably about a 65 without a sub rule and like a 35 with the sub being there. So yeah, you can kind of see that Lorenz is going to be a player. It's just he needs to get on the park more. But anyway, that pretty much is the video there, going through all of the St Kilda vs Port game. A little bit of a longer video as we went through a couple of the rookies, etc. And sort of how I would like to see, I guess, these teams sort of structure up and how it could open up fantasy prospects in the future. But yeah, Butters is sort of the only guy I really like out of Port. And Sinclair, once he gets through the James Jordan tag next week, even though the James Jordan tag wasn't necessarily the greatest, I still am a little bit wary about that. James Jordan, once he gets through that, that should open up his schedule, and no one else really from St Kilda that I necessarily like too much. But anyway, that is the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.